Hey everybody, Gunnison Undercover here. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2019. Time is 10:35 a.m. and that is Eastern Standard Time. I keep repeating myself because some of you still think we're in daylight savings times, but we're not. And today it's about 40-some degrees out. It's cloudy, it's windy, it's in the low 40s here, and it's misty. I'm waiting for the rain to come. I'm down here at the waterfront in Union Beach, down by the fishing end. People in the area know what I'm talking about. So we got a real disgusting, repulsive Blue Zero Hero story. This guy's probably the biggest Blue Zero Hero turd story I've done in a while. I mean, it's just despicable. It make you want to throw up, anger you. It's going to invoke all these feelings in you with this turd. And when I get done reading the story, I would say this, and you all going to know what I'm talking about. Where are all the good apples? Why haven't I seen anything on any Facebook page saying that's deplorable, we don't do things like that, that doesn't represent us, this guy's rogue? Mum's the word with these cops. They don't want to talk about the bad things that they're doing in their community. They pretend nothing's going on. They're in a state of denial. All right, bear with me because this story actually is probably going to be a little bit longer, so it might not be a 2-minute video here. And here it is. This one came out on November 16th, so it's 2 days ago. I posted it on my Facebook channel, Gunnison Undercover. Always encourage people to go there and subscribe and follow, because sometimes I post stories on there that are not necessarily going to make it on YouTube. So, this caption here, this is in the bostonglobe.com I'm reading from, and it says, video showing teen with no arms or legs being tackled and pinned by deputy prompts Arizona investigation. And here's his lovely face. Look at that. Another fine, upstanding, well-trained professional out risking his life, protecting and serving the community. Look at him. Oh, isn't he? Look at that cute smile. How could he possibly do things like this? Well, very easy, folks, because they lack empathy. They're subhuman, some of them. The shirtless 15-year-old screams as he lies face down on the kitchen floor of his group home in Tucson, Arizona. He has no arms or legs, so he can't flee or fight back. A sheriff's deputy at least twice his size is crouching over him, pinning him to the ground, using his body weight to restrain the quadruple amputee. Well, you see, folks, we all know that these cops only attack people who are weaker. You never see a story coming out where a cop, one of these Blue Zero heroes, is screwing with a 6'5", 300-pound biker, dude. You never see a story. I've yet to see a story like that. Okay, it's always somebody weaker than them. Because we all know, without their gun and their belt and their badge and all that comes behind that, most of them are just a bunch of pussies. Because, as we know, bullies never pick on anybody their own size. I know that because I was a little guy in school, and I always got screwed with. And I never saw those thugs screwing with the other big guys. There's always the little ones. Okay, let me continue. 8-minute cell phone video has now prompted an internal affairs investigation of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, according to KOLD, which first published the footage on Thursday. Well, once again, the power of the camera has exposed a turd, a blue smelly turd. That's why our camera is our greatest weapon against these thugs, these revenue generating local government thugs. But Pima County Public Defender Joe Feynman told the Washington Post that the disturbing incident likely wouldn't have come to light if it were for another teenager at the group home who filmed the confrontation and then had his head slammed into the wall by deputies. These are kids who already have been traumatized in some way, said Feynman, whose office is representing both boys. If a parent reacted to their teenager acting up in the same way the deputy did, he added, they might be arrested for child abuse. You're absolutely right. While most information about the teens is being withheld to protect their privacy, Feynman said that the Emmanuel, the 15-year-old quadruple amputee, is in state custody because he was abandoned by his parents. You know, this poor kid. It's like sometimes you wonder if there really is a God up there overlooking. I mean, why a poor kid, he's got no arms, no legs, and he gets abandoned by his parents? You know, this is stuff that breaks my heart. On the morning of September 26, an adult who works at the group home called police to report that Emmanuel had knocked over a trash can and was yelling and screaming. Fireman isn't sure what riled the teen, and in his opinion, it doesn't matter. 15-year-olds who have not been through what Emmanuel went through act out all the time, he said. Yeah, life's a bitch, man. You ain't got no arms, you ain't got no legs, you can't wipe your ass, you can't pick your nose, you can't do, things that guys like to do when they're alone. You can't do anything. I mean, you're helpless. You are, for the rest of your life, you are depending on somebody else. The deputy from Pima County Sheriff's Department who responded to the call said that was the first mistake. What the hell they call the sheriff? I mean, this group home person there can't handle the problem? What the hell are they doing there? The deputy from Pima County Sheriff's Department who responded to the call determined that Emmanuel was disturbing the peace. Yeah, no shit. And decided to restrain him. What are you going to do? Put the handcuffs around his waist? Put a muzzle over his mouth? Come on, where are they getting these sheriffs from? This guy's... Decided to restrain fireman said. That's when CJ, a 16-year-old who also lives at the group home, began surreptitiously filming from an adjoining room. Well, good for that kid. That kid deserves an award. In fact, I'll buy him dinner. If anybody knows, if he can contact me out there, if somebody knows him, I'll buy him dinner. He deserves you know what? I'd buy him dinner and give him a flag. He is a hero. Without that kid's quick thinking and action, that Blue Zero turd, probably going on in life as normal. At the video start, a white deputy in wraparound sunglasses can be seen kneeling on the ground and holding a black teenager in a headlock. Oh, so it's a black kid, so that makes it even worse. Holding the black teenager in a headlock. Emmanuel grows increasingly upset, his voice raises with a frank shriek as he tells the officer not to hold him down. He's got a headlock on a quadruple amputee. You know, I want to go out on the limb and say they're not hiring these cops because they're smart, okay? I'm really starting to think they're hiring because they're stupid. But then again, you know, big guys, thugs, violence is their go-to tool for resolving problems, because they learn at an early age that if they use intimidation or a threat of violence that they can get their way or make a problem go away. When the deputy loosens his grip, Emmanuel tries to shake him off and break free, but he doesn't get far. The officer tackles him, wrapping his arms around the teenager and practically lying on top of him as he wrestles him to the floor. An uncomfortable minute passes as the quadruple amputee swears and screams at the deputy, who uses one forearm to press him to the ground. You know, one thing I learned about these big guys, a lot of big guys, and to not so big guys, there are a lot of guys out there that like physical contact with other men. I don't know if it's a sexual thing. I don't know if it's a dominating thing. I think it's a dominating thing more than any to power over another man and render him helpless. Because I've noticed that there are a lot of men out there who like to fight. They like mixing it up with other men. These are the guys who become football players, any kind of sport that's roughhousing. They like that stuff. We all know the guys in school that were always wrestling and fighting and getting rough with other guys. Eventually, Emmanuel stops protesting and the officer lets him get up, ask him what is his problem and is why he kept moving when he was told not to move. I'm assuming that he's able to get up on his ass. That's what I'm assuming getting up means. As the 15-year-old says he doesn't have a problem, the cop gets louder, bending over so that his face is inches away from the teenagers. I will raise my voice to you whenever the F I want. You understand, the officer yells. CJ, who has been quietly filming the scene as he eats his breakfast in the next room, erupts, "Hey, you asked him a question and he answered," he tells the deputy. "Shut the hell up," the cop snaps back. He tells the 16-year-old to go to his room. CJ responds that he's eating his cereal and isn't allowed to be in his room. The deputy storms over, screaming at CJ and telling him to stay out of something that doesn't involve him. "You shut the hell up," he yells again. CJ tells him to get out of his face. "You're going to get arrested too," the cop says. A third teenager takes the phone and begins filming as CJ is turned around and placed in handcuffs. Without warning, the deputy slams the head of the unsuspecting 16-year-old into the wall. There's a loud crash, and then the black teen is led to a squad car by two officers who appear to be white. What do you mean appear? Either they are or they aren't. Do I appear to be white? Both CJ and Emmanuel were jailed. Emmanuel were jailed and charged with disorderly conduct. How can you be charged with disorderly conduct inside a house? The deputy hadn't been wearing a body camera. Well, how convenient is that? But when CJ met with his attorney from the public defender's office, he suggested watching the video he had captured for his arrest. We did, and it was horrific. Fineman said he cried the first time he watched the footage. He said, as many of his colleagues were public defenders, so we have an iron stomach for a lot of things. But this was especially terrible. Given that Emmanuel has no legs and is missing most of his arms and wasn't even wearing a shirt, making it unlikely that he could have somehow been hiding a concealed weapon, Fineman questioned how he could have posed a threat to this very large policeman with a badge and a gun. Regardless of what the teenager said to the officer, he argues the better response would have been to sit down and try to de-escalate the situation. Well, you know, they don't de-escalate. That's not part of their training, because they have to de-escalate. That's how they get the arrest. If he had de-escalated that situation, that cop would not get an arrest. The Pima County Sheriff's Department could not be reached. Well, how convenient. Late Thursday night, but told KOLD that they hadn't previously been aware of the video and would launch an investigation. After the outlet story aired on Thursday, Pima County Attorney's Office dropped the charges against both teams. Well, yeah. These kids are who live in a group home because they can't live with their parents. They added this is exactly the type of person that law enforcement needs to protect and defend. Well, first of all, they don't protect us. I have figured out that their main two tasks in life is to generate revenue and to enforce the government rules. They're government forces. That's their main task. This protecting thing is a bunch of crap. They don't protect anything. The closest thing they come to protecting is taking a report after it happens. Let me go on here. Well, that looks like yeah, that's it on that story. Now, there's a video out there. I'm going to go search the internet, see if I can find the video. We'll include it with this if I have it. And go to bostonglobe.com for the story. I'll put the link in the description box so you can go read the story yourself. But once again, we have another well-trained professional out risking his life, protecting and serving the community. Look at this thug. Well, if he doesn't get fired, I don't know what to say. It would not surprise me, but he should be fired. I mean, just, once again, it comes down to decency. Any decent person will look at this kid with no arms, no legs, and immediately feel bad for him and understand that this kid's got a rough road ahead of him in life, and he's never going to live the same kind of life that you and I live, and that we should treat this kid with compassion and try to be more empathetic to what is going on with him. But as we know, law enforcement, empathy and compassion is not part of their psyche. Actually, it works against them. Because if you're trying to arrest somebody and hurt somebody, if you had empathy and compassion, you would not resort to those kind of behaviors. But this cop is disgusting. I mean, if he was here, I'd punch him in his face, wrestle his ass down. Even if he beat me up, I don't care. As long as I got one good punch in his face, that'd be good enough for me. He's a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned. And there should be an outrage that he get fired. And maybe we can find the Facebook page for this sheriff's department and put it in there, and we all can go there and flood it with our. We will express ourselves to fire this guy, and undoubtedly his actions are going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. This is Gunnison Undercover. What are we going to do about these cops? Every day there's a video coming out, and we're getting more pieces of the puzzle as to who they really are. But, there's always going to be that blue gooer out there that says, oh, there's only a few bad ones out there, the rest are all good. No, they're all no freaking good. That's my opinion about it. Some are nicer than others, but the bottom line is None of them are any freaking good. What kind of person in their right mind goes in that kind of field? Sit there and jam people up and generate money off of them, extort money from them, and do it day after day. Till next time, people.
Yo, calm down, has on. Yo. Yo. Hey, calm down. Hey, you asked him a question, he answered. I did. Shut the hell up. Hey, don't talk to me. Both of them. Then go to your room. Both, no, I'm in my studio. I'm not allowed to eat in my room. Am I talking to you? I don't care if you talk to me. No. Excuse me? Yeah. Am I talking to you? Bro, am I talking to you? Yeah, my face. You shut the hell up. No. You have nothing to do with this. You understand? Bitch, please. Am I your bitch? Yeah. Am I your bitch? Mm-hmm. Why don't you go eat your cereal and shut the hell up? Get on my face. Or what? Or what? Or what? Out. Out for what? Get on my face. You need to stay the hell out of this. You understand? Oh, really? That's right. Stupid ass bitch. You're gonna get arrested too. Bring them. Bring them. Bring what? Bring your back.
do with